and welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. I'm Nikita Arora. Today we're talking about the Rafale deal. What is the controversy? Is there foul play? Is there not? How serious are the allegations against the BJP and so on? Now, when you talk about the Rafale deal, there are a number of different issues, but one of the most commonly discussed is price. Now, to be fair, in my opinion, at this point, price is the least important because there are so many different concerns with this deal. But when it comes to the price, based on the total contract value, the UPA negotiated a deal of 570 crore rupees per aircraft, as against the NDA's 1,670 crore rupees per aircraft. Now, the NDA continues to insist that it actually got a deal that was 9% cheaper than the UPA, based on some calculation that only the finance minister seems to have access to. Because in the parliament, he's even claimed at some point that if you consider the enhancements, then the deal is actually 20% cheaper than the UPA. Now, this claim about the enhancements is extremely questionable because Prime Minister Modi and President Hollande at the time put out a joint statement in 2015 saying that India was acquiring the Rafale jets at the exact same configurations as was negotiated in the old UPA deal. So, if there are any enhancements, first of all, this goes against the joint statement that was put out by the leaders of the two countries. Secondly, if you think that there were enhancements that were negotiated after the joint statement was issued in 2015 and the deal was actually signed in 2016, then that seems difficult. Why is that? Because when the UPA started negotiating this deal in 2007, it took 5 years for the Indian Air Force to test these aircraft and understand the configurations and finally give their go-ahead. If there were any major enhancements to be made or any configurations that had to be changed, then the IAF would have to get involved and it would need time for that. So it's one of the two. Either no enhancements were made and so the price should not increase. And secondly, if enhancements were made, was the IAF consulted? Did it have enough time to actually go over the configurations and give its go-ahead? Having said that, there are also other differences in the contract which make the price comparison difficult. For example, the UPA was going to procure 126 Rafale aircraft. The NDA is only procuring 36. 18 out of the 126 aircraft that the UPA was going to get were in ready-to-fly condition. All of NDA's 36 aircraft are in ready-to-fly condition. The UPA deal also had a clause that was going to allow India the license to manufacture these Rafale jets and components of the Rafale jets in India and a transfer of technology from France to India. The NDA deal skips both these features. The UPA's total contract price also did not include the Scalp and Meteor missiles, which are included in the NDA's total contract value. So based on the total contract value, we cannot compare the two prices and we need the price of the bare-bone aircraft to be able to make this comparison. This brings us to our first question. Why is the government not disclosing the price of the aircraft? Now, the government is insisting that there is a confidentiality clause. But the question everyone is asking is the purchase price part of this clause? Does the clause actually restrict the government from disclosing the purchase price of the aircraft? Now, Nirmala Sitharaman, for instance, has claimed on multiple occasions that the French president has also said that there is a confidentiality clause and that is why we cannot disclose the price. But the French president has said nothing of the sort. What he has said is that there is a confidentiality clause in the agreement, which nobody is arguing with. But he has said nothing about price being part of this confidentiality clause. In fact, he has also gone ahead and said that it is up to the Indian government to decide what it wants to disclose to its people in the parliament. The second question is even more important. Why was the number cut down from 126 Rafales to 36 Rafales? This is an extremely important question from the point of view of national security, which the NDA otherwise seems to have a monopoly on. But the outgoing IAF chief, Arup Raha, said this: just 36 Rafale fighter jets would not suffice, as India needs about 200 to 250 more fighters to maintain its combat edge over adversaries. We've not heard any explanation from the government as to why this number was cut down so drastically. Another important question is, was due process followed? Nirmala Sitharaman seems to suggest that it was followed to the T, but that's not really true. First of all, the Prime Minister announced the deal in France a year and a half before it was approved by the Cabinet Committee. Secondly, there is no tradition of Prime Ministers announcing such deals on foreign soil. It is the job of the Ministry of Defence to do that. Thirdly, the Foreign Secretary had categorically told journalists before the Prime Minister travelled to France that the deal with HAL was almost sealed. But when the Prime Minister reached France, everything changed. HAL was dropped, Reliance suddenly became the international partner. Who made these decisions? Was the Prime Minister acting on his own? Fourthly, the NDA scrapped the old UPA deal and started a whole new deal. It was not negotiating an old deal. If that was the case, why did we not float a fresh tender? And this is important because when the deal was initially negotiated by the UPA in 2007, at the time, the Indian Air Force had approved both the Eurofighter and the Rafales based on technical specifications. But the Rafale was chosen only because it was offering us a better price. But when the new deal began to be negotiated, Eurofighter actually approached us with a 20% reduction in price. But it was not considered. Why is that? All of this indicates a procedural paralysis. The central question, of course, is why was HAL dropped? This is the most shocking part of the deal because before the Prime Minister travelled to France in April 2015, the chiefs of both HAL and Dassault put out statements saying that the deal was almost 95% finalized. In fact, Eric Trappier, the CEO of Dassault, even put out a statement saying that Dassault has a long-standing relationship with HAL and that it will be more strengthened once the order of 126 Rafales is concluded. He said that he was happy to abide by all the conditions of the RFP. In fact, HAL had also earmarked land and resources to build the Rafale fighters. HAL is India's longest combat fighter manufacturer. It has the technical know-how, the manufacturing capability, the financial strength, and 75 years of experience in manufacturing multi-purpose aircraft and helicopters and fighter jets. It manufactures MiG, Sukhoi, Tejas, Chetak, Cheetah, Rudra and Dhruv for the Indian Air Force. It also supplies to Airbus France and Boeing US. But Finance Minister Arun Jaitley claimed that Dassault had reservations about HAL's capability to deliver, which seems really odd because Dassault had reservations about HAL, but instead of HAL, it decided to go with Reliance. Where did it find the logic to do that? This, of course, brings us to our next question. Why Reliance Defence? A company that has absolutely zero experience in combat aircraft manufacturing. A company that was incorporated 12 days before the Prime Minister made the announcement in France. A company that has an accumulated loss of 1,300 crore rupees in the first year and a debt of 8,000 crore rupees. A company that at the time was also being investigated for the 2G scam. None of this qualifies Reliance to be an eligible international partner. Interestingly, Anil Ambani is also claiming that this is a deal between two private entities, that the Modi government has nothing to do with it. But think about it. Dassault let go of a deal with HAL that was 95% finalized, and it decided to pick an undeserving company like Reliance. This is just food for thought. But is it just a coincidence that Mr. Anil Ambani was part of the delegation that travelled to France with Prime Minister Modi and that he just happens to enjoy a friendly rapport with him? Then, why not make in India? Why no transfer of technology? Like I mentioned before, under the UPA deal, HAL was going to have the license to manufacture and the transfer of technology from France to India that was going to enable it to do that. That was one of the key objectives of the deal, to build India's defense ecosystem. Indigenous manufacturing, creation of jobs, development of subsidiaries, and extraction of technology. Under the NDA deal, we've let go of everything. We are completely dependent on France for components, for maintenance, for future purchases, and for replacement of fleet. So, a solid Make in India, jobs for all opportunity missed by PM Modi. The last question is, why is the government not clarifying the offset clause? When the government purchases Rafale jets from France, it is investing into the French economy. So in return, Dassault Aviation agrees to invest back a part of the total contract value into India. In this particular case, 50% of the total contract value, that is 29,000 crore, is going to be invested back into India. 30% in research and development and 20% in defense manufacturing. So far, Dassault has entered into a joint venture only with Reliance Defence Limited. So does this mean that Reliance Defence is getting a contract worth 29,000 crore without doing anything, by the way? Secondly, if not, there are other companies that are getting a part of this offset. Which are these other companies and what are they going to do? Thirdly, Mr. Anil Ambani has claimed that Reliance is not going to manufacture any components of the Rafale. In fact, no defense component at all. Is the government on the same page about this? If not, then can you clarify that Reliance will be producing components for defense or components for the Rafale? Will it be producing it and exporting it to Dassault? Will it be producing it and supplying it to IAF? Also, Mr. Anil Ambani is claiming that this is, as I said before, a deal between two private entities and the Modi government has nothing to do with it. But no offset deal can be signed without the approval of the MOD. Because if the Indian government was not signing this deal with Dassault, would Reliance still be getting this offset contract? The Modi government has badgered the UPA over crony capitalism. But look at the Rafale deal. HAL gets dropped so close to finalization and Reliance gets picked. Reliance gets an offset contract running into thousands of crores without any eligibility. And an interesting side note is that India has now floated a global tender for 110 new fighter aircraft because of the shortage left behind by the Rafale deal. Remember, we need about 200 to 250 and the Rafale deal is only getting us about 36. Now this is a multi-billion-dollar contract and 85% of the manufacturing is going to take place in India. And guess what? Adani has already entered into a joint venture with defense giant Saab Gripen. So if Saab Gripen gets this contract, then is it possible that Adani would be its beneficiary in India? It's just a coincidence that Adani also happens to be close to our Prime Minister. Just something to think about. But logic and common sense are irrelevant. What you can't prove never happened. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified every time I upload a new video.